Bitcoin's alive, what you gonna do? Mempool fees are high. Ordinal. Where does it stop? Nobody knows. It's a revolution, ayy. Bitcoin is the one, no substitution, ayy. With Shizzy and Yagobi, it's Ordinal Revolution.
Welcome back to Ordinal Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire Bitcoin Ordinal ecosystem. What is up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're calling this show Walking Down the Track. We're really going to start with everything Trac and make our way all the way down to every single thing in that ecosystem. I have been neglecting Trac, and I apologize for that. I want to really start digging into it more, and I just been, really into other things and haven't really spent the time over there. So today we have a special guest. We have MattyVerse. He's going to make sure that we are correct on all of our information. Me and Yagobi are really just going to kind of go down the line, and Matty's here to make sure we got everything correct. And that's today's episode. And so let's get this thing started. We're going to start walking down the track right now. Let me bring in my partner, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up? What is up? What's up?
So today we're walking down the track. How do you feel about this? And do you think we've been neglecting Trac as much as we're being told that we are?
Well, yes, I think we have, but not necessarily intentionally. I just feel like it's our job to cover the space, and it's really tough to try to cover everything that's new and just everything in general, right? And so I think that's where things can get lost, because it's not only Trac that we haven't covered as much. We haven't covered like atomicals in forever. We haven't covered other areas in the ecosystem. But Trac is definitely a big part of the Ordinal ecosystem. And so I just think that it's good that to kind of get a refresher over everything. Let's get updated on like what they've been building, their partnerships and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, like we want the whole space to succeed. So
yeah, and Trac is one of those that like Ivan on Tech talks about, right? He talks about the tap protocol coming and stuff like that, and that's what these new people are going to come in. They're going to see. So another reason for this video is if you know someone who's just getting in and they've invested in Trac but just don't know much about it, send them this video. This will kind of get them caught up from start to finish. I'm going to ask a lot of dumb questions just to make sure that those viewers are able to pick up everything as we're going, and it's just not complete Spanish. So. But so I guess we'll just get the show started. Let's bring in our special guest and his 20th time on the show. What's up,
400.
Matty?
What's up?
400.
What's going on?
Well, welcome back to Ordinal Revolution. It's always a pleasure, Matty. You're one of our favorite guests, and we appreciate your time. And we know you're very busy with your family and everything. So I just want to thank you for coming on so many times as you have.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been great. I love coming on here.
Awesome.
All right, we'll just jump right into it. I'm going to kind of go over as far as I know about Trac, and then you guys can correct me, or you can add some stuff as well. So we're going to start with back in, I want to say early days of Ordinals. I want to say March or April. There's this thing on Unisat called TRAC, right? No one knows a lot about it. It's just hanging out there. We start digging into it. We find out that Trac is founded by Marcus Boop, aka Benny the Dev. Benny the Dev is head of Rarity Garden, which it was a project that was trying to bridge from Ethereum to Bitcoin, and they're still in the process of doing that. That hasn't ended, but he went and he discovered that we're in need of indexers. And not just indexers, but decentralized indexers. So Benny created Trac, and what Trac is a it's not fully decentralized yet, but that's the game plan. That's what they're trying to do. But it's going to be a decentralized indexer he wants to really just use to do everything, right? He wants that to really be like the top one. And so far so good, because it has, block runners use it and everything like that. But what can you guys tell me about Trac that I haven't said?
Well, I'll take a stab at it first. So you covered pretty much most of it. I remember back in that time frame too. Actually, it's wild because when I was learning about BRC20s, Matty, I saw him on Twitter, didn't even know who he was, and I just started DMing him, commenting on his thing, and he got back to me and helped me out. But after about a week of like being just like the light bulb going off, I noticed Trac too, and I remember they had those like posts with like the 80s arcade like thing in the background, and I was like, well, this thing looks cool, just the way that they kind of marketed that. But yeah, you know, he was kind of like just, you know, took the ball running. You know, he like created looks ordinal to where you could inscribe. It was an inscription tool. It was one of the first that I remember to where like he had like the cursed option on there where you could check off. He's a builder at heart. I mean, you could just tell, right? And so the decentralized indexer plus that tool, yes, there was fees, but everybody was charging fees on that, but it was just really convenient. Other than being a decentralized indexer, from the jump part before we get into like tap and all the other stuff, I think that's pretty much it, right? Like he's really just trying to make his name in the space as that decentralized indexer, that solution. Obviously, there's a lot of competition in the beginning, and still is.
Matty?
Yeah, I think you covered it. I didn't really notice Trac until you know, end of June time frame, and then I started to notice him because he was, you know, he started indexing bitmaps, and you know, we'll get to that. But he wasn't known in the space, like in the Bitcoin Ordinal space. I guess he was around. Was it Ethereum or I'm not sure.
Yeah, he was Ethereum dev first. Yes.
Yeah. So he was around before, and like a lot of us moved over to Ordinals, and I'm glad he did, because although it was kind of contended against at first, he's huge in the space. We're lucky to have him.
100%. Yes, I agree. I definitely agree with that. Okay, so Trac's doing good, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I think Blockrunner was the first place where I heard about it. But there was this thing from Blockamoto, and it was called Bitmaps, right? And Benny and Blockamoto, they started working together. Blockamoto came up with the word tap, which they're tapping the parcels. Benny loved it. What can you guys tell me about Bitmaps? What is it? What's it going to be? And where are we at today?
You can start that one off.
Yeah, okay. I just want to start off, when they came out with the term tap, I absolutely hated it.
I remember that.
I was on Twitter. I'm going, this is stupid. Why are we calling it tap? Blah, blah, blah. And it was a few days, maybe a week before somebody said, listen, it's a Magic Gathering term, and you tap your lands to get the energy out of it. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, if somebody had said that a week ago, I wouldn't have been looking like an idiot all over Twitter for a week, right? Yeah. So I started looking into it. I noticed it was this huge thing, MattyVerse land on Ordinals. So I watched the Blockrunners video 3 or 4 days after, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't watch this before. And then I started inscribing. So I didn't get that many because I didn't have a lot of money to play with at the time. But yeah, I saw something in it for sure. So.
But
yeah,
like, what?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, you know, for me, like I remember Bitmap was like huge, right? I actually first I wasn't huge into it, kind of faded it, but I minted. I actually got, you know, some 4-digit bitmaps through mint. But like the biggest thing about bitmaps and Benny was that, like, I think we got to give Benny some credit here because and I saw in the recent Blockrunners episode that like they were talking about like he was one of the pioneers because he risked his time into indexing those, meaning that he believed in it right in the beginning. So, you know, I think he definitely deserves his flowers for that because a lot of people were laughing at Bitmap. Like, you know, you had the Trevors, you had the Tendies, you had all those people that were just like, this is a joke. And Benny actually was like, I'm going to index these. So yeah, I just wanted to say that part.
Yeah, no problem. So, but like, what is Bitmap? What is it? What and why is it important?
Well, the way that it's been explained, and the way if you read the Git book, Bitmap is a virtual representation of code inside a block or data inside a block represented in like a virtual environment to look like land. So if you look at bitfeed.land, you can see
Bitfeed.live.
Thank you. Bitfeed.live. You can see a visual representation of the transactions in the block, and if you look at them, they look like land. And Blockmodo noticed that, and he said, we can make a metaverse out of this land. And all it does is it points to transactions and V bytes, and it creates different size blocks, like in my background, right? Different size blocks that could be used as parcels on the land.
Anything to add, Yago?
No, I mean that one's pretty straightforward, right? You just like you said, a representation of the block, each Bitcoin block through data, and a visual representation of each transaction, and that's pretty much what it is, right? So so he pretty much covered that.
So what is it going to be? Bitmap works perfectly. It's the most greatest thing in the world. What is it in 10 years?
I'll start with this one.
Yago.
Yeah. So I think like in 10 years, obviously that people will have different I guess ideas or guesses of what it will end up being, but I think it's going to be more of like an address, right? Like, because it's a one line text script of a number and then .bitmap, so you can look at it kind of similarly to like an IP address, but like what on the IP address or that domain is developed. And I think that's what people can look forward to in the future, because right now you're seeing people that are just trying to develop something and connect it to that. And this is like the very beginnings of like when websites were created, right? Like back in the early 90s, mid 90s, whenever it became like public, they were horrible in the beginning, right? They took forever to load up. And I think that we're just getting to a point where there's still ideas in our mind, like what I just spun up just now, right? But that's where I see it. I think the hope is that like there's going to be a unilateral like ecosystem with them all, kind of like the internet, and where they all can connect and possibly like have interoperability with certain builders and stuff like that. But that's just kind of my guess. Go ahead, Matty.
Yeah, so I've written a couple times about the same thing, the IP address thing. Recently, I had another vision for it, and basically the way I see it is, yeah, we got all these people building things connected to these bitmaps, connected to the parcels and stuff. But the way that I see it is eventually, if you look at IP addresses and how websites work, you're getting one website on an IP address. But if you take a parcel dot block number dot bitmap and you build on the parcel itself, you could potentially build a website, you could build a game, you could build a metaverse space, you could build a store, and all these different things depending on the technology you're using, a phone, a computer, a headset, Apple Vision, mixed reality glasses, whatever. You can point to this address, and whatever technology you're using will pull up a different thing on that one parcel. So the possibility to layer domains and 3D spaces onto one parcel, I think will be a big thing, and I think it could be the foundation of a new decentralized internet.
Wow. Okay. I was kind of expecting you guys to say like metaverse, because that's what some people see it as. Do you guys see it as maybe a future like metaverse lands?
I think it could be that, and it could be kind of like what Matty says. It's versatile,
Okay.
right? Like obviously, like the attraction to them is like the metaverse aspect of it, but because it's like from the bare bones of it, it's like a numerical or character text, line, right? And so I think at the bare bones, it serves as like an identity, like an address. And then like from there, you can pretty much go wherever you want with it. Obviously, many are going to go to the metaverse part of it. But that's just kind of my my perception, I guess, of what how I believe it could be utilized.
Yeah, and I mean the metaverse could be it's just another layer that you could put on these parcels, right? So you put your glasses on and you want to go to a metaverse, you use the address, you go into the metaverse that's built on there. And that's kind of goes to what your definition of a metaverse is, right? Like if a lot of people picture a metaverse as like a Ready Player One, you go in and that's just it, but it could be multiple things. It could just be the place where we spend all our time digitally, right? And that's, you know, you can access this metaverse on your phone as a 2D web page or as a 3D space that you're entering in a virtual reality sense.
Awesome. Yes, it sounds awesome. You guys, great job on bitmaps. I think you guys knocked out of the park. Okay, so after working with Nakamoto, Benny wants to do his own version of BRC20, right? His version of BRC20 has a lot more things you can do to it, and there's a lot more things. And one of the things is it's tap, right? So he names it Tap Protocol. And can you guys tell me what Tap Protocol is and why is it different than BRC20?
Yeah, I'll start on this one. I remember when it was dropped. It was I think August 5th, something like that. And I was pretty convinced it was built to replace BRC20. And you know, I called it out and he corrected me. He said it's not built to replace, it's built to enhance. And then I read the Git book, and basically what he did is he saw the limitations that BRC20 had, and he's like, well, I can expand on this, and he built Tap Protocol, and he even he even made it so that nobody could take any 4-letter tickers because he was planning on bridging BRC20 tokens over to Tap, so he could use the expanded functionality with the original BRC20 tokens. So you can create a token from 1 to 3 characters or 5 to 32 characters and start, you know, airdropping the same mint deploy transfer functions, but the potential was that he could bridge BRC20 and use these airdrop features and other features that he was going to expand down the road on BRC20s.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything you add?
Yeah. So I think, you know, one of the biggest things is the flexibility that Tap adds to kind of like just the standard BRC20 protocol. Like it's the internal flexibility, right? You know, with the deployment transfer, but also the airdrops, right? That was such a pain for the BRC20 side of things. Tap made that more simplified, as well as like the Gib side of things, right? Gib was a test token for the what was it called? The claim
Token.
was it token off?
Yeah.
Token off. So like there, that's basically where his mindset was. It's like, okay, well, we got to start step by step because we can't jump to DeFi because it's just not capable to do on Bitcoin. So let's make these tokens more flexible. And he did a great job with that. The only thing obviously all three of us, we went through the mint process. You know, we were there like ground zero, you know, which is awesome because we got to all experience that together. But like, I think it was just a bit disappointing because we weren't able to trade those forever until Ordinal's wallet kind of stepped up. But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it with Tap.
That's like perfect. I'm sorry, you got something, Matty?
Yeah, I forgot about the Tap art as well. So you could inscribe Tap art through inscriptions, and I have which is funny because I have some, and I've even traded them over the counter, right?
Yeah.
And
so
yeah,
what do you think about the future? Okay, go ahead.
There was the option to be able to, it was released a little later, but to be able to trade tokens straight across on the protocol, right?
Yeah. Yep. Peer to peer. That's right. I remember that. And I'm curious, Matty, like, how do you feel about Tap art though? Because like whenever the minting process and all that deployment and stuff happened, you know, I was pretty hype about that. Like, I still have 2 of the original punks, you know, and it's cool with the pink in the background, but like we can't do anything with those even till this day, not even on Ordinal's wallet. Do you think that's gonna like have like a resurgence because of all this like Sora and everybody kind of coming in?
Yeah, I mean, if we jump to now with Sora being rumored to be listing on a CEX, I could see interest in Tap growing, and then with that, people are going to start discovering the stuff that we already know, right? And Tap art is one of them. once we get that ability to trade and we get a marketplace that lists all the tokens, I think that we'll get more attention on Tap, and Tap has a lot of potential still. It's just been stagnant because there hasn't been a way for people to interact with it other than really minting and then over-the-counter trades until Ordinal's wallet started listing some of the tokens.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, to your point there, so there was a guy named Casta Bravo, and he airdropped the first tap art to everyone. I got my first tap art. I think it was track holders, right? Is that what it was? I can't remember.
No, Biddle holders.
Bill,
yeah,
the holders, yeah.
It was
so
the mega structures.
Yep, the mega structures, which was amazing. I still love mine. I got 3 of them. Still fan of them. Can't wait to never list them. But anyway, so and then at that point, there's this guy come along, Santiago. He tells everyone he's creating this exchange. That was back, I want to say August. Everyone's excited, including me. I was in the spaces. I was very excited for this. At this time, there's no infrastructure for Tap. There's nothing. There's no wallet. There's no. The only thing you can do is see your tokens in your wallet, and you can tap them to make them tradable. So I can send them to you. You can send them to me. We can do over-the-counter trades and stuff like that, right? And so Santiago comes, and he basically, at this point, looking backwards, it's all air, right? He basically created a really cool place to go see your stuff. Like it's basically like a ether scan type of thing for Tap. I like it, I use it, it's cool, but there's no exchange. There's no exchange at all. And I don't think there's really an excuse for that because we're 7 months out of there, and we have a friend named Eric who has 3 exchanges in that same time frame, right? Not saying anything about it. I just feel like it was supposed to happen and it never happened, but that stopped other builders from stepping on his shoes. That stopped other builders from coming in and actually creating a marketplace. That set Tap back pretty far. And so what do you guys think about that? And am I wrong in any way?
So I didn't really think about the fact that like that probably did sway other developers from going into that, because like Trac and Benny seemed like they kind of supported TapX, right? And so there was like this like cohesion between that platform and Benny and what they were doing. So that's a great point. But the other side of things, yeah, like I feel like there was so much momentum with Tap during the mint process. Like I said, we all 3 were there, and it was exciting. It was awesome. We were early, right? We were like, holy crap. And then a delay and a delay and delay. And I feel like actually from BRC20 to Tap, that was the second fungible token protocol that launched. And then that was it for a good minute. And then once like we couldn't really do anything with Tap, then next thing you know, bam, bam, bam. Like you have ARC comes out, and then like next CBRC, all these different protocols. And so it's kind of like Tap got lost within everything, and then Casey comes out and pipe and all this other stuff. So
yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, and I don't think like anyone's necessarily to blame for that. That's behind like Trac specifically, like Benny or anything, because he's always said like I want to build the protocol and then have other builders build the platforms and stuff.
Yep.
So like we can't expect him to build like an exchange and a protocol and everything. So,
but that's why we're so excited for TapX, right? That's why we were so excited for it, because it was like awesome. Like Benny finally got a guy. He finally had someone building over there, and then it all ended up just being all hot air. Matty, I'm curious of your opinion.
Yeah, I mean I'm on the same boat with Yagobi there. About that point you made, and yeah, I didn't even realize that. Like it probably did hold people back from trying to create that, because they're like, well, he's got this thing coming, and then time passed, 3 months, and all these other protocols came out, and yeah, Tap kind of got lost in it, right? Because CBRC 20s got their Ordinal Novus came out, and you could trade those, and Runes came out, and then we'll get to it, but Pipe was born from the Runes idea, right? And yeah, like you said, Benny's always said that he builds the protocols, somebody else builds the infrastructure. Ordinal's wallet took it, ran with it, which was great. It's really nice to be able to trade some tokens. I don't think TapX is out of it. I think that TapX still has the potential to happen. But yeah, I agree. I agree. I wish it had happened sooner and caught that momentum at the beginning, but we can't go into the past, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. But looking back at it, what the show is for, that stunting growth to me happened because of TapX, and I wish it wasn't that way. I wish TapX was running. I wish I know, and then I ask questions to that, and then I get, you just want to dump your bags, and it's not that. It's not true at all. I really just wanted to. I wanted Tap to succeed. I was technically, for lack of better words, a shareholder because I had so many of these Tap tokens. You know what I mean? I was invested into these Tap tokens. I only inscribed them. I didn't put real money into them, but to me, they all had really good potential. That's the reason why I went at them, and I like the people who put them out there, and I was very excited for it. That excitement really hit the wall there when Pipe came out. So we'll move right in the Pipe here. So Tap's not doing too great. There's no infrastructure. We're still excited for it at this point. And then Casey comes out and he says he's smoking a pipe, and he says, I'm putting out this thing called runes. Benny, the brilliant he says, I'm going to create runes first, but I'm going to use the pipe that he was smoking as the as my protocol, right? So he names it Pipe. And Pipe looks to me like it has the first mover advantage against runes, but there's no volume, right? There's not much volume over there at all. So can you guys explain to me what Pipe is and if there's any differences from runes? We don't know a lot about runes, but can you guys just go into that the best you can?
Yeah. You want? I'll go. Okay. So I can go back to when Casey announced runes. So Casey announced runes. It's a UTXO model that's coming. It's to try and pull fungible tokens off of ordinals because Casey hated the fact there was fungible tokens on ordinals and they were clogging the mempool, right? And then there were people wanting indexing. So they were there. I forget who it was, but they put a tweet out that said, "If anybody can index runes, I'll pay them." I think it was $100,000 or something like that. So Benny went onto that tweet and said, "I'll index runes and I'll do it for free." And then he started looking at indexing them. But when he started looking at indexing them, again, he found that there was a lot of ways to do it better. To expand upon it to make it better. So then he decided to create his own UTXO token model. And that's where Pipe came from.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's good to know.
Yeah. And I think also, like, at that time, it wasn't just Benny, but like, it was crazy. I felt like that. I was like super livid, remember? And because I just felt, I was just like, Casey's coming in here stirring stuff up, and he has been like not active in the ordinal space forever, like to everybody. Obviously, he's doing stuff behind the scenes, but it wasn't just Benny as a developer. Like, everybody started kind of scrambling. Like, you had Ordinal's wallet freaking completely put a I felt like it was such a grift. Runes out there, like charging everybody $20 to mint stuff. But anyways, and then you had like the Chinese community, like, Unisat was probably scrambling because they're like, oh crap, like what are we gonna do? Everybody's scrambling because they all respect Casey as like the founder of Ordinals, and they're like, he's gonna create a new fungible token. Everybody's gonna be in love with it. He's like our Vitalik. He's our leader. But I think Benny saw when he went into the whatever GitHub or whatever he saw from the Rune side, what was ever revealed, that like there was like a lot of benefits from the UTXO model, op return storing of these fungible tokens, and how they're like they can maneuver better, and it's not an accounting system, so you don't have to, you don't have to, do basically move the entire UTXO over every time you trade, like, sats. Over there, it's like the UTXO gets eliminated once you're done with the transaction. You get a new one, right? And so that's why I think he got excited about it, and so that's why he went into Pipe. But for people like you, Shizzy, and I think people like even me a little bit, but I was just kind of like more focused on being angry at Casey at the time. But people like you that was excited about Tap and stuff, it was kind of like, it felt kind of like a little bit like a slap in the face, because it was just like, whoa, hold on, like we've been waiting for Tap forever, you know, like what's going on? And then now you're like, it almost at the time it seemed like he was just like, no more Tap, pipe only. You know what I mean? It seemed like that, but that wasn't the case, obviously.
No.
And a lot of people are emotional with their bags. Let's be honest. That's, you know, so that can sway things, but that's not what we were trying to do. It just seemed that way. So that's kind of how I felt.
And like that anger towards Casey. I mean, I was there too. I coined the. I was on there going, you know, back when you got to remember that he had just tried to get rid of cursed inscriptions too, right? So he was gone. He came back, said no cursed inscriptions anymore. So then I was like, you know, Casey doesn't control ordinals, right? Like I was mad, right? And then it just kind of went to more of a community consensus for that. And then he came out with this other token, and I'm like, what is wrong with this guy? Why can't he just leave ordinals to grow on its own? So it's a decentralized system, right? So that's where my frustrations and anger came from. I'm on the other side of the fence with pipe and coming out and Tap, because from what I expected them both to grow in that whole Benny's whole Trac ecosystem, right? And you know, when the one would get momentum, the other one could get momentum, and then when they were growing and we had the infrastructure, then people would pick and choose, right? You want to use the UTXO model or the inscription model, and that's where I sat. So I wasn't like, oh yeah, development on Tap stops, because also we had Tap X in the background being built as well, right? So
100%. And to be at Yagobi's point, like the 100%, like that's where my frustration with I guess Benny came from. It came from, you know, I was really big on Tap, and it wasn't because I was trying to make $1 million. I just felt like I was, for the first time ever, because I wasn't early to BRC20s, I was early to something, right? I felt like it was so cool to be early to something. So it wasn't really about my bags as much as it was like emotional attachment to me. The first time I was early to something, I was late to Bitcoin, I was late to Phantom, I was late to everything. But I just felt like I was, for the first time, early. You know, it felt so good. And then I felt like that was being taken from me when Benny announced pipe. I don't feel like that was his intention. I just felt like that was my I guess you would say I had a victim mindset towards that, right? So, and you know, that's a me problem. It's not, you know, but that's where my frustration started, and I feel like maybe I took that, you know, going forward on other things. So that's probably not fair to my recent you know, talks about Trac and stuff like that. But that's where it all kind of started.
And one thing too, as a developer, Benny, I'm sure, like, I don't know, I'm not a developer, but like, I'm sure his mindset was kind of like, you know what, like this could be a good hedge, to have like pipe running and Tap running. And like a lot of us, like I'm sure Matty included, were like, okay, there can only be one back then. Because Leonidas would always say that, like on his daily show, him and Trevor would go back and forth, and Leonidas like, no, I think there's only going to be one fungible token standard. Well, look where we are right now. I think Bitcoin's going to have multiple fungible token standards that are going to make people a lot of money this bull run. But anyways, so yeah, I definitely can understand if he was trying to hedge, just because his community and what he kind of wanted to make sure that there was some success there.
Yeah, like he's a forward thinker. He was definitely thinking forward with that, and I don't blame him looking back, you know. So go ahead, Matty.
I just think that I mean, we've been around Benny now for 8 months, 9 months.
Yeah.
I think that all he ever wanted to do was, like, you know, help make a better protocol. And I don't think it was ever about, like I said, it's not about replacing the protocol. I'm sure if he had made pipe and you know, and then runes came out, and he could do something to kind of put them together, right? Like, I think all that he wants to do is benefit the space.
I see what you did there.
But yeah, I think that's what he's just trying to benefit the space.
Yeah, I gotcha. Any last words on pipe before we move along? You good?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, like when we talked on our spaces today, like, you know, the Merlin seal actually included pipe, right? So I think there's respect in certain communities about pipe and what Benny's building and stuff like that. So it's this next 6 months is going to be very crucial, interesting, and fun to see like what goes up and crazy during the bull market, because then whenever Bitcoin's sitting at 80,000 to 100,000, there's a lot of stuff that probably is going to get liquidity. So
100%. Matty,
Yeah,
words on pipe?
yeah, definitely. I just wanted to talk about Inscribe 3, who like jumped all over it right away, right? Like, and this is another one of those things that kind of gave you security. They were there day one, and they made it. I was at work when pipe dropped. I couldn't mint any pipe tokens because it was all through like visual code and stuff like that, and I couldn't do it on my phone. But within the very first day, Inscribe 3 had a mint function or a mint website and everything, and they've just been spending time developing this. And over time they've added art to it. They've added I talked about BRC 404 becoming a thing, and that is just inadvertently was part of pipe automatically. So it's a really versatile system, and I'm sure runes will be a very versatile system too. But it just, all these things have all this potential, like, and I could see that like pipe was taken care of and we were waiting for tap again, and tap has the same potential. Like, things are being discovered all the time. Pipe, things are being discovered all the time, and it hasn't even been it's been a year of ordinals. Like, we got a long way to go, and there's a lot more stuff coming down the pipe. That wasn't actually supposed to be a pun, but
no pun intended.
You're on a roll today, but no pipe intended.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, so moving along. One day we're just hanging out on Twitter like we always do, and there's an announcement that Trac finally has some funding. Trac finally has somebody behind their back. Benny finally has somebody to rely on, and it's the guys from Scree Labs. We at Ordinal Revolution immediately reached out. We got one of the founders on the show. Amazing guy. We asked all the tough questions, and he answered them all really well. If you guys don't know that episode, you can go back. I'll have that linked in the show notes for you guys to check that out. But me and Yagobi, we were really excited for Scree Labs, and really excited for Benny to get some funding behind them to really get things going. For me, it was for Tap, and for the rest of the community, it was for pipe and for everything. But they were investing in was Tap, because there is a Tap token that potentially could be the investable token given to these VCs, which ended up being correct. So what can you guys tell me about Scree Labs that maybe, and how does that benefit Trac?
Scree Labs, they definitely, it shocked me because I remember when we would have conversations with Benny, he didn't want to really go down that rabbit hole, right? That route. And I respected that for sure. And I still respect the fact that he actually did end up going down that hole, or that route, however you want to say it, because at that point he needed it. Like, he needed the support. He needed to be able to have his team built out. I was happy for him, and I still am happy for him, because I think it was the right move. You obviously could see that, like, it helped his reach, it helped his marketing. I think he probably picked the right group to help him do that. Scry Labs, when we had them on, they talked about their experience. They're based out of Asia, so I know Benny wasn't necessarily a huge presence in Asia, but now that presence has grown, right? And also it's pretty crazy, because like you can see other like kind of projects and stuff that like either connected on our spaces, like Ghosty and Trac and stuff like that. Ghosty is now under Scry Labs, so it's like there's this network of investor firms or VCs that are supporting other projects that possibly are under the Trac umbrella, but then not directly under Benny. So I think that it was a smart move. It gave him the ability to focus on have a team and stuff like that.
Great job, Matty.
Yeah. VCs, they get a bad name in the space. A lot of people don't want to see it. They don't want people to pick up VCs. They think that people only pick up VCs and then they dump, or they they try and take advantage. And sure, on Ethereum, there's a lot of VC crap that happened, but the thing that I always go back to when people are complaining about, you know, Benny picking up VCs or anybody on Ordinals picking up VCs, like you're expecting free mints, right? You're everything free. Where are these people? How are these people supposed to build without venture capitalism, right? Where do they get the money? Are they supposed to, if they keep 10, 15, 20% of the supply and then they make the money there, then you're dumping on them, right? So I think that venture capitalists are useful in certain situations in ordinals for companies to be able to build out. And if it's a large scale company, then and they get VCs involved, then I think that it's needed. And congratulations for Benny. It's good because he has a lot of work to do.
Yep. And at the time, I loved it. I was like, yeah, but like Benny can finally put his head down and stop worrying about like things that, you know, that's not amazing for Trac, you know, and that's kind of what these guys did for him. They allowed him to kind of put his head down and start building, and that's why I think that he hasn't really been as vocal as he used to be, because I think he really just trying to get this thing off the ground. Because now he, you know, on top of everything that Square Labs is doing for him, he now has, I guess you could say, supervision without saying it. He now has people depending on him to really push forward, right? So that's what you also get from Street Labs. You get a little bit more pressure, right? A little pressure on you got to get what you said get done, and he has. He's been out there, he's been building, and he's been doing a great job from outside looking in. And I'm excited to see, you know, what he's building, because we usually see it months later, after he's already built it. So, anything
Yeah,
less? Go.
I just think that, like you said, he's got the chance to put his head down and build, and I think we may be surprised with what he drops, because you know what they always say, building in silence.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen. So he's going to drop
Yeah.
something, and it's going to blow our minds, I'm sure.
Good. Any last words on Skylabs?
No, I mean,
all good.
no.
Sounds good. And then you mentioned it. I'm gonna get into this because I did skip this in my show notes, but Trac had a partnership with a group called Ghosty Cash at the time. This happened in Ordinal Revolution Spaces. I'm gonna pat myself on the back because it was amazing to watch in real time. And Yagobi did a great job of finding Ghosty Cash. He got them on the show. We had a conversation with them, and after the conversation, we looked at each other and said, you know, he's not far from Benny. So we had them both in the spaces together. Benny heard his accent and said, "Where are you from?" Boom, they hit it off perfectly. A week later, they had a partnership. Absolutely amazing. Happened right there, right live in front of us. Yeah. I love this freaking space for things like that. And then now Ghosty Cash, which it's actually really needed in the space for what they're doing and stuff like that. And you guys don't know what Ghosty Cash is. Again, I'll link it in the show notes. You can watch the episode all about Ghosty Cash. And so what do you guys think about Ghosty Cash? And they recently, like you said, are now working with Street Labs as well.
Ghosty Cash is amazing. I use it all the time. It got me, it made it, I don't even know, I can't get the word out. I was able to go from watching Doginals and not wanting to send my Bitcoin out, exchange it, and then back in, to being able to send my Bitcoin to Doge, or my Bitcoin to Ethereum, or my Bitcoin over to, you know, Polygon, or wherever I wanted to grab something from these new protocols, right? Like, and I was able to get onto Doginals because of that. And it had been a while, it had been months, because I was like, I'm just not sending my Bitcoin to a centralized exchange to swap it and then send it back over and losing all the fees. I use Ghosty Cash all the time. I used it a week ago. Like it's amazing, and I don't even use the anonymous function. I just, because I'm not trying to be anonymous. So if you don't use the anonymous function, then it goes by pretty quick. But if you use the anonymous function, then it sends it, uses Monero, and it takes longer, right? But they've always been responsive. I have had people reaching out to me. They're like, "Oh, I sent like 100 ordi over, and it's never come through. It's been a few days." And I reached out to the guy. He responded to me right away. He checked out the transaction. Fees had like skyrocketed, and it couldn't go through. So he ended up reversing it and sending the order back to the guy. Like they're great.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I see Ghosty Cash as the providing a solution during a time that there wasn't many, other than like Matty said, like sending things to a centralized exchange, and that was just kind of they made it more convenient, right? And so the way that I think like them going under Scry Labs is probably really smart, because I think that at the time that they came out with the solution, it's fine, it was good, everybody liked it, right? But then like you got to evolve that solution, right? Because just kind of going through the centralized exchanges and stuff might not be the best route to do that. But I will say, like, as a branded project in BRC20, they provided a service that like not many BRC20 tokens did, and so I think that they're going to do well, and I think that they will evolve because Scry Labs will guide them.
100%. Love it. Great job, guys. Amazing. I guess we'll jump to the next thing, which is so Blockrunner drops this new protocol. They were building on bitmaps. Every episode was about bitmaps. It was awesome. And then they get us all excited again with this thing called Nats. At the time, we kind of think of it as something to do with bitmaps, but it's just with data and stuff like that. So what can you guys tell me about Nats? Like, what is it, and how's it different from bitmaps?
So let me start with this. I'm not going to necessarily go into it super deep. I'll let Matty do that because he's the subject matter expert on this panel here. But like, so yeah, obviously, whenever it launched, we were covering so many different things at the time, and actually, we kind of backed off of Bitmap a little bit at the time because we were covering something new, and so we kind of looked at it as like, oh, cool, like I actually loved it. Remember, I kept telling you, like, digital matter theory, I love it.
Yep.
Because being able to tokenize basically data from the Bitcoin blocks is awesome. And anyways, so I do think that like the initial fumbling was definitely more on Ordinal's wallet because they rushed it and then called it Nat Maps. But what happened in the long run was that got clarified, and then people were okay, they were chilling, and then Nats came out, and I mean, we both minted Nats.
Yeah.
A lot of people did, and that's fine. I think that the recent kind of upstir of it was, honestly, I kind of blame this on Ordinal because I feel like after they came out, like people would just start talking about, and there is something called BitNat. Right, Matty? BitNat.
BitNat. Yeah.
Yes, and that is the miner, I guess you will, that you can drill stuff. And so I think there's just so many moving parts, and if you're not like focused in that DMT Nat like environment, like that's a new thing, BitNat. And then that scared somebody, and then now Bitmaps, and then like, so I'll say for sure, like I didn't do my due diligence deep enough, and I should have. It was a long day. I saw Ordi maps, and I was like, all of them suck in my mind. You know what I mean? But so that's kind of where I came from with that. But yeah.
Go ahead, Matty. Dig in, buddy.
Oh, so start at the beginning. What do you think?
I think you should.
Yeah.
Okay. So bitmaps were dropped. Blockrunner was super excited. They saw something amazing. They saw a token derived from the data in a Bitcoin block, and it was coined digital matter theory. The theory that you could create digital matter out of data in a Bitcoin block, or really any blockchain's block. And I don't know if they created it. I think somebody else was claiming that they created the term. It doesn't matter. The Blockrunner started talking about it. They're like, yeah, Bitmap, it's amazing that you can create that kind of a digital matter system out of this stuff. And then they started talking about over time, over the summer into September, all their videos, they kind of dipped into it. We're working on something, and they developed this new way of inscribing tokens based on Bitcoin block data. And it seems like it's similar to Bitmap because Bitmap is derived from block data. So I always call Bitmap the first NAT token, non-arbitrary token, right? Because everything's It's non-arbitrary data. You're not just choosing this number for whatever you're building, and that's why they named it non-arbitrary tokens, right? So these guys created this whole protocol to expand upon what Bitmap was made from, and they dropped it in a video, and I think it was November. They had dropped it in a video with a Git book, and they created 2 tokens. They created a NAT token, which was pointing to the data, the bits field data in a Bitcoin block, and they created the BMT token, which also pointed to the same data, except the BMT token, they showcased that it could only be claimed by the owner of the block that they're pointing to, but the NAT token could be claimed by anybody. Now, this is where it gets really, this is where it can get confusing, right? So people see the block runner as these guys that, were instrumental in Bitmap, which they were, but they wanted to build that theory out. But when the people saw that you were minting block, you put block at the bottom of that inscription text, then they started to get really defensive, saying, well, no, you can't do that. We're just doing bitmaps all over again. And they tried to explain that that's not what it is. I really spent probably 3 days on Twitter explaining, no, it's pointing to this. It's different. And it started to pick up momentum, and people were minting nats, and people were all over Twitter complaining that only bitmap owners should be able to derive the data out of a block. And this opened up a whole new can of people thinking that bitmaps were claiming ownership over all the data in the block, which obviously it's not possible to do that because anybody can point to any information. It's there to point to. But they, people thought they were pulling value out of people's bitmaps. So on top of that, Ordinal's wallet being always trying to be first and get things on their sites, which thank God for that because of Tap. They decided to create a map of transactions, just like they did with Bitmap, where you could go on and you could see which blocks are still available to claim, right? Not to inscribe, but to claim. So when they saw that, they named it NatMap. They thought it was clever. That's great. People were using it. But then they made a mistake and they listed mint inscriptions on their marketplace and called it NatMap. And that's where a lot of the controversy came from, because people saw NatMap. People started trading these mint inscriptions, which, by the way, didn't have anything attached to them, because once you mint with that kind of a protocol, the tokens are in your wallet and you need to inscribe a transfer function. So now you got hundreds of people buying these mint inscriptions that are worthless, and you got other hundreds of people complaining about NatMap when it had nothing to do with bitmaps in the first place. And it kind of got out of hand, and everybody was just mad, right? Bitmap people that bitmap landlords, let's call them, are really like
defensive.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, Bitmap was first. Thank you. Yeah, Bitmap was first. Bitmap is amazing. Bitmap is king, by the way. And there's nothing that can really touch Bitmap at this point. But people still are gonna get on their pitchforks and torches, and try and stop people from creating replacements for this. And yeah, like it kind of got squashed around beginning of December, until the Jubilee update, when Benny indexed the NAT token and NATs were listed on Ordinal's wallet for real. And then everything just kind of bubbled to the surface again, and people were selling actual NAT tokens. But then everyone was like, well, what about NAT maps? I have all these. And then people were mad at Ordinal's wallet because they had spent all this money on these useless mint inscriptions. And then other people remembered about NAT maps and how they were trying to replace Bitmap. And that's just kind of where it's grown again from there.
Yeah. And just like Yagobi's point, that was kind of our fault, because Ordi maps just kind of like pissed us off, and then we remembered NAT maps, right? But then not really looking back properly and seeing that. So I guess
well, hold on. I want to say that it wasn't that that we remembered nat maps. It was that someone recently posted nat maps on Twitter, and I should have dug deeper into it because they were upset about the bit nat. They're upset about the bitnat. People are upset about bitnat because they're just like, this is like, why are they drilling on and being able to get all these benefits, right? So, but to your point, and I agree with this, and I apologize on my side of things, is that we should have looked deeper into that. And like you said, I think it was just that day that kind of like the Ordi maps kind of just pushed that over. So,
and for me though, it was my tap moment all over again. I was early to bitmaps, excited for bitmaps, super bullish on bitmaps. And I hate when people say, oh, you're just for your bags, right? No, I truly believe the bitmap could be special. I truly believe in bitmap. It's not about, obviously I'm invested in it because I truly believe this, but it's just so annoying when people say like, oh, you're just pumping your bags. It's not even about that. I believe bitmap can be infrastructure in ordinals. It could be something special, right? So again, I have that tap moment all over again to where I'm like, I'm bullish on this thing, feeling early, and all of a sudden, some from the same people who I believe drop bitmaps, because that's the first place I ever heard it from. It was Yagobi, and then he said, hey, go watch Blockrunner video. Blockrunner told me bitmap. Blockrunner showed me bitmap. Blockrunner was bitmap for me. And then I discovered Blockamoto, and I read his documents. Documents come out 6 months later. But to me, Blockrunner was the bitmap guys, right? And I give them all the credits. I mean, they found something so amazing, so special. Great job. Great, amazing alpha. Amazing. Everything about that was absolutely amazing. But again, for me, I had my tap moment again. I had a moment where it's like, no, not again. Like, I love this. Why are you just stay with bitmaps, right? So it's happening to me again. So the frustration came back out, and that's where I personally got frustrated, lost my cool for that last episode, and I apologize for that. And my argument, which was solved today when listening to the Blockrunner's video, was that why can't they just do nat map on bitmaps? And I didn't realize that it was impossible. Now thinking about it, you can't stop me from inscribing in your map, and I can't stop you from inscribing my map. So what's the point of even trying, right? So I didn't get that until today. And that was my misunderstanding. And now I kind of get it. And that's kind of why they are going with a separate protocol. And it's turning out pretty cool because now they have these new type of ordinals, the NFTs and stuff like that. Am I missing anything in there? Or are we good from the Nats side of things?
I think so. I haven't watched the Blockrunners video yet because I saw it drop about 20 minutes before this recording. But they've created something that's just it's just started, right? It's just gonna get bigger and bigger. Like we've seen the innovation happening already with generative art being generated from Bitcoin data. And it's amazing. We got nat cats, nat dogs, and we got even nat frogs, right?
Nat frogs.
Yeah, there's nat frogs now. Yeah.
Oh man.
Wow, that's awesome.
And it's just gonna grow from there. And we've just started. Like I'm gonna say that the potential of non-arbitrary data and tokens is pretty much limitless. And it was worth diving into, and it was worth bringing to people's attention, no matter how technical it is right now. It's only gonna get better and easier.
Yeah, I think that a lot of things end up like that. But I do want to clarify this. I did watch most of that episode, and they kind of pretty much admitted that, like, it is competition to bitmap. They did say that, right? I mean, but that's okay. Like, that doesn't mean that, like, they're not trying to erase bitmap. What they're trying to do is create something that is different than bitmap for sure. And there's amazing things that will probably come from it. And if it's better and it's better than bitmap, then that market just wins, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think, like, we got to realize that, look, like, I mean, if something is good and it catches like bitmap, then there's going to be competitors that, like, try to put stuff out. And that's just a part of capitalism. So
there has to be.
Yeah, it pushes innovation. They made a great point about that today on their show. Yeah, it pushes innovation.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that.
Yeah, it was a good show, but like to them, whatever. On that episode 2, they basically said that they're building and other people aren't building, right? But if you're building, then why is everything stop when basically you're waiting for Benny? Everything from those guys is waiting for Benny to index, waiting for Benny to index, waiting for Benny to index. That's the only thing that kind of bothers me with their building. I feel like it's Benny building.
Well, he's indexing and like I don't think they have that capability to index themselves because there's a lot of work, you know.
Yeah.
So I get it. I mean, at the end of the day, there's going to be people that work better with other developers and stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, Block Runner, I'm So Chris, those type of builders work better, obviously, with Benny. You know, in terms of like using
Benny does all the work.
the tap protocol uses tap protocol to index, you know, different things and stuff like that. And then you're going to have other groups too. And at the end of the day, all the groups, they want the same thing for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right. But they want what's best for their group. And I think that's where it's like we're looking at like the Hobbit from Lord of the Rings where all those armies are going, you know. But at the end of the day, like we should try to, you know, think about building the ecosystem of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But it's inevitable that it's going to happen this way.
Go ahead, Matty.
Yeah, go ahead, Matty.
I do want to, before we move on, I just want to point out something that I said on Twitter last night. A lot of people were complaining about the fact that they wanted nats to only be claimable by people that own the bitmaps, right? But the thing that kind of I brought up yesterday was, if that was the case, then why wasn't BMT the token that everybody jumped on? Why was it nat?
Well, because it's not possible. You can't stop people from doing your block. That's another reason why, I think.
Well, yeah. Also, you have to own a bitmap to claim BMP.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. So a lot of people were like, well, why are you letting anybody inscribe these? Why can't it just be for bitmap owners? Because there's two ways of doing it, right? There's the one way where the public can do it, and then there's another way where bitmap owners can do it. And they were both released at the same time, and they were both released in the Gitbook. And people ran with nats, and BMT was left kind of in the wayside. So I don't think it was ever about that. I think that's just something that people are saying because either they haven't read it, they don't know about BMT.
It wasn't pushed at all. Let's be real.
Well,
BMP was not pushed at all.
It wasn't pushed, and that's, you know, I think that's because people jumped on nat so hard, right?
Yeah.
So,
but BMP. What about BMP? BMP was pushed hard as hell by Jack Blue. But I'm saying, like, if you had that same mindset for BMT, I guarantee it would have flown. 100%. But here's the thing: is that like it's easy to make DMT fly because of the people that don't have bitmaps. They don't want to buy bitmap to claim a token. I just want to get into this early. But that's not malicious.
It's not.
It's not malicious. And I think we, like, bitmap holders, got to realize that if you have that conviction that you had when you got bitmaps, then this is all doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Just keep that conviction in there. There's a whole huge ecosystem for bitmaps, and people like MattyVerse and even Block Runner in some of their comments are saying people are. I feel like bitmappers are like, say bitmaps was first, and then they'll be like, bitmaps were first. It's so funny. Like Matty even says that, like, in a couple of comments, right? Like you were like, yes, bitmaps were first. It's like they're forcing you, like, at gunpoint to say it, but you're like, you don't need to force me, man. Like, bitmaps were first.
Yeah, I say it all the time. Bitmap is the first non-arbitrary token. It's not rocket science. It's just fact. The last thing I'm going to say is, people that are defensive about the NAT token, this token, NAT and BMT, they were showcase tokens, test tokens to show how the protocol works. That's it. If you want actual tokens that are worth something, that actually will have utility, look at the stuff that people are building. That's it.
Yep, I agree. So I'm gonna ask you guys one true or false question, and then we'll go into the next thing. True or false? Block Runner just wants something to be theirs. They're looking at Nats as their baby now. Bitmaps is kind of like the community thing, and Nats is kind of a community thing also, but it's their community thing, right? And so, true or false? True or false? Does Block Runner just want something to be theirs?
I think it's half true.
Okay.
because that's not 100% either way, because like half true is the fact that like I can tell like Will from the block runners is super like nerdy in that aspect of data and stuff, you know, and so like it excites him to be able to build something to where he feels like it's amazing, you know, but it's all that is also their baby, right? And so that's why I say it's half true. But I don't know what Matty thinks.
That's it's the same thing. It's to me, it's not black and white.
Okay.
I think that they wanted to build out that they wanted to build out that theory, and you know they were the ones that did it. So um, it's true false.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
It's hard. Yeah, I can't say either way.
All right, we'll move on to the next thing. So OCM has been in Bitcoin for a little while. On-Chain Monkeys, they're an Ethereum project from 2001. Really started building over on Bitcoin very early. They have an amazing project, very very big in the space. Their team is amazing. We had them on for one of our episodes. We absolutely love them, and so they came over and they saw the tap train, and they're like, hey, we want to be a part of this. So they're launching a coin on tap. I'm not too familiar with what this thing's actually going to do. I just know, and maybe one of you guys can fill me in on this, that they are taking in Trac, and for every one Trac, they're giving you 4 karma tokens. So they're trying to get as much Trac as they possibly can because they seem very, very bullish on it. So either you guys want to go first on this?
Go ahead, Yagobi.
so I think it is, first of all, a smart move by OCM, because they were able to raise a ton. I think it was like over 550,000 Trac.
Yeah.
Or something like that, something crazy number. I could be way off with that, so don't quote me on that. But very smart move for OCM, and I think that like the karma token will get momentum, like the Sora token, because this is another probably behind the curtain, behind the scenes move by Scry Labs, being able to create these partnerships. I mean that's really big, for love OCM or not, there's a lot of money behind OCM. The CEOs and all that stuff. Like there's venture capitalists behind them. They worked with Osprey, was it Diamonds, I believe,
Yep.
or and then Bugatti. I mean, so great partnership. I think this is a power move, and I think it's a good move for the Trac holders, because this locks up 550,000 Trac in the treasury, and you have a good amount of Trac locked up on the seal, actually, if you go look.
Mm-hmm.
So when bull market come, Trac go up, I think, but we'll see.
100%. Matty.
Yeah, I think I think that it's good. It's good to pull liquidity out of Trac and kind of lock up those tokens. And I think it was a good move by them because as we talked about the last time I was on, Trac's got a good potential gain coming. I don't think it's quite as substantial as I thought last time we talked about it, but pulling in that Trac for that liquidity is a really good move on their part, and I think it helps Trac overall. Same way that locking up your tokens on Merlin Seal, you take them out of circulation, and it just causes a price raise, right?
You made a comment just now. You said that you don't think the gain will be as substantial as you initially thought. You talking about the price of Trac?
Yeah, the price point of Trac. I think that it's kind of stalled out. I had like really big expectations for before the halving. I think I said $25 pre-halving, if I remember right. But because of a few things that happened, including the TapX thing, Benny, the way he handled Merlin in his Discord, I think that it's had a little bit of this kind of happen. So I still think the price is going to go up. I think it's going to do well, but I think it's just stalled out a little bit.
Yeah, that's a really good breakdown of it. Yeah, I mean, I could see, one token that I remember from the previous cycles that people were like super frustrated with was Chainlink, because it was like you know, they kept like there's no reason Chainlink shouldn't have exploded in price, right? And everybody's like, it's utilized everywhere. It's the oracle for every chain, EVM chain almost, right? And so I'm almost in a sense of like, could Trac kind of follow suit? But eventually Chainlink did go up, like, but it was like when no one expected anymore, right? So, but with the locking up of Trac, I don't know, like logically, my logical brain says, okay, you know, there's a lot of Trac locked up with Karma. There's a lot of Trac locked up on Seal. The price should go up, but we'll see.
Trac's going to $50. I don't know when. I don't have a timeline on that, but Trac will be at $50 one day. Trac that puts Trac at $1 billion. And I think that's right. My math's correct with that. Right now, the 100 million, $50. Yeah, it's a 10x from here. So I think that is easy. Or I think that might be the peak. I think it happens. Like I said, no timeline on that, but I truly believe that. There's not financial advice. Trac go back down to 5 cents before it goes to $50, but one day it'll be at $50.
Yeah,
What do you
that's
guys
$1
think?
billion market cap.
Yeah.
I think so too. But I think there's going to be a point to where there is probably more control over the price because there's a lot of hands involved now.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but I think this bull run, we will probably enjoy like a nice at the Pico top of the bull. We'll enjoy a nice Trac price.
Yeah. Matty, you agree or disagree with $50 Trac?
I agree with $50 Trac easily.
Okay.
I had 25 before or
Agreed.
just after having, but it definitely 50 during the bull run for sure.
Awesome.
Not financial advice.
No.
But yeah, no, it's going to be on this.
So one of our last topics, Sora. I say this for the end for a reason. It is booming. It is a spectacular, complete miss by me. Me and Yagobi, we talked about it. We saw it. I did not get into it because they're not a really big fan of Ordinal's wallet, and which now that's no excuse. I just ignored it because I was looking at stuff on Merlin, to be honest, and I regret it. What can you tell us about Sora?
I caught it in my Discord. I think I'm not sure who sent it to me, if it was BRC20 Alpha or KT. But I minted 6K, so it's not. I never do a big amount. I'm not playing that hard, but it's worth about $1,200 for me right now.
Nice.
And that's pretty sweet considering I just kind of found out about it. I didn't even know about the Sora AI yet. I just was like, okay. It was deployed by I can't get the name.
Jason Fang.
Yeah, I was deployed by him. People were like, yeah, whatever. Fees were low. I just minted 6x, right? So
Yeah.
But yeah, it's doing really well. I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
I just degen's got a degen.
I think that was the absolute best thing that could have happened for Tap Protocol.
100%.
Because Sora Ventures, which Jason Fang's a part of, right? I believe. Don't quote me on that because I could be wrong, but I just know he has some sort of affiliation with it, I believe. Obviously the token name is Sora, but it was not about the ventures, it was about the AI, right? Which that's fair because like that same ticker was launching on Ethereum and other chains. Now, what Shizzy and I first thought it was Sora Venture, so we're like, holy crap, this is crazy, this is why it's going nuts. But they did come out and say this is a community token, but we support it. So I think that's just kind of a way to kind of say, hey, look, maybe some fingerprints are on this, but we're not going to come out and scream to the top of the mountaintops of it. But yeah, I mean, you have that. If they get on a centralized exchange, that could be even more big for Tap. You gotta have like a DeFi platform though, like to be able to have that like success for the token protocol, right? And the SatsX is amazing. Ordinal's wallet is amazing because they put themselves out on the line for it. But there's one that got to be dedicated to Tap protocol tokens. And once that happens, I think that some crazy stuff will happen. Degens will degen, and
yeah.
So that's kind of where I am with the whole Sora thing. I think it was really good for the protocol.
I'm gonna plead
Definitely.
to Eric BRC 20 coins. Please make a tap exchange, buddy. Please do it. Please do it. All your exchanges have been so successful. We need you. TapX failed. We need you, Eric. We need you, bud. But anyway, so I just kind of want to put a little icing on the cake here. So the tap token's not out yet. Ivan on Tech is talking about the entire protocol is not out yet, but he's definitely getting paid somewhat by somebody. Somebody's paying him to talk about tap because he knows nothing about it, but he pumps it every episode. And he thinks the tap protocol hasn't dropped yet, but in reality, it's the tap token hasn't dropped yet, and the tap token is going to be airdropped to Trac holders. What can you guys tell me about this airdrop? Do you know any information that maybe we don't know yet?
Oh man, I think Benny mentioned this back in November. I think maybe December, maybe earlier even. When he created the tap protocol, he minted 2 tokens. One was tap, one was curse tap.
Which one was first?
Curse tap, wasn't it? Yeah, it was curse tap. Yeah. But then he minted the whole supply of tap to himself and then tested some functions. And anyway, community got a hold of negative tap, minted it out. But they're going to be using, okay, here's where it gets confusing. Trac, the BRC20, is the governance token for tap. And tap will be the governance token for hype, if I remember right. Yeah. So they're going to be airdropping this tap token to holders of the Trac BRC20 token. And it's been a couple months, and I don't think they've done a snapshot yet. But I don't even remember when it's going to drop now. Maybe in March, maybe. And I don't know. I don't know when it's dropping, but yeah, that's basically, you're going to get an allocation based on how much Trac you hold during the snapshot.
Sounds good. I think you guys did an absolutely amazing job today. Great job, guys. I really appreciate it. I learned a lot from both you guys. It's been absolutely amazing. So is there anything that we left out, or anything you want to say kind of top it off here with our filled cup?
Yeah, I'll go first. Just the Ordinals community and Bitcoin ecosystem community, just I feel like, sometimes we just got to take a step back, including us, right? And do some self-reflection and just really kind of, just if there's any like anger or like bitterness towards like any groups of people, just remember, like, at the end of the day, like, this is fun. Remember the days when like everything started? That was so fun. And look around, and like those are that's us. We were there. And so I think we should all want the best for each other, but realize that our investments or like other projects, they're gonna protect what they believe is kind of the hard blood, sweat, and tears, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, let's try to make this place a better place, but also be transparent. Let's be transparent. Just don't be I don't want to say it because I want ads, but don't be a D. Just don't be a huge D for no reason. There, that's it.
Matty.
Yeah, I think we covered everything. I don't have much to add here. It was really thorough. I'm glad we did it. And I really hope that Sora gets on that exchange and we Sora to the moon.
Yeah, man. And not just Sora. We need Trac on the exchange. We need Trac on Binance. We need Trac on OKX. It's a matter of time. It needs to happen yesterday. And I think it's really, I'm going to say it's bullshit that Trac's not on Binance or on OKX. And I think they really got to get their shit together, because I'm annoyed by it. And it needs to be on one of these exchanges yesterday. So shout out those guys. But
I thought Binance was looking into Trac or Tap or something back.
It's not listed yet, though. Yeah, but it's not
weird. That would be so backwards if they put Tap on there before Trac.
Yeah. Well, it just shows Ivan on Tech doesn't know that Tap's out yet. So he doesn't know there's a protocol. He thinks it's about to drop. It's so funny. As an Ordinal enjoyer, listening to someone like him talk about that protocol it's going to be dropping soon. It's like, Oh my God, who is paying this man? Who is paying him like right now? It sounds so bad. From the outside looking in, if you don't know Ordinals, I can't wait for this new tap protocol to drop. You're gonna talk to an Ordinal enjoyer and be like, you're an idiot. It's been out since July. So
that's how early we are, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, how are we gonna put tap on an exchange if it doesn't exist yet? Let's be honest there.
All right, Matty, man, we appreciate you so much, sir. Where can we come find you? We know you have a YouTube channel out now. Everyone, please, I beg you, go subscribe to Matty's channel. It's so amazing. Matty, take it away, buddy. The stage is yours.
Yeah, thanks. You can find me on Twitter, X, at the MattyVerse. If you don't find me there, you'll see me in your timeline, I'm sure. You go to my profile. I've got a seamless link there. Check out my YouTube. I've been posting more shorts content on TikTok and YouTube, and I started posting on Instagram as well. But yeah, I do tutorials on YouTube. I do walkthroughs now of protocols that interest me. And if you have any questions, I'm always open for a tag or a DM conversation. Just don't DM me and go, hey, my name's this, where are you from? Because then I'll block and ban you, because I get a million of those every day. But yeah, always available to help out. So,
and I would love, Matty, and this is just my opinion, I would love a weekly market update from you, sir. I would watch it and I would enjoy it, and I would probably learn a lot. So if you do have the time, could you put together a half-hour market update for us, who aren't only on that side as much as you are? But hey, I understand you're a very busy man, but if you could, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I've been trying to find time. I mean, usually when I'm doing my videos, it's from like 10 till 12:30 at night, and then I'm editing it in my truck before work in the morning. So.
Oof. Yeah. That's why we don't edit. We just put them out there.
Yeah, I like stutter through things. And I'm like, oh damn, now I gotta backtrack, and then I stop recording or something goes wrong and I gotta record. Then I gotta piece it. Anyway, I'm not good at it, so I gotta edit it all together.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Matty. We'll see you next time, buddy.
Thanks.
Peace.
All right, man. What an episode. Let's wrap it in a bow. I said everything I needed to say. I feel really like I got a lot off my chest, and I hope that people don't take my opinion as a threat or anything like that. It's just my opinion. It's just how I feel in this moment. My opinion changes really quickly, but in this moment, it's exactly how I'm feeling. But
yeah, I think it was great. And it was needed. It just we've been so busy focusing on Merlin, which is great because there's a lot of opportunity there, but there's a lot of opportunity in different parts of the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Yeah.
Remember, guys, Bitcoin ecosystem is this bull run. Obviously, there's other places where you can do well in, but it's going to mainly be focused here, I believe.
100%.
So.
All right, guys, that's the show. If you like this at all, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're not subscribed, hit the little bell icon. Check us out, ordinalrevolution.com. If you're going to Bitcoin conference in July, please, we have a link to 10%. Was it 10% off? 20% off?
I didn't even know we had a coupon.
Well, it's for the tickets. For,
the tickets, the Bitcoin conference. Okay.
Yeah.
I actually think it's like 30% off.
Okay.
But it'll say on there once you click in. So
yep. So check that out. Check out our store, ordinalrevolution.com. Hit the top little banner. You can pick out all the shirts. If you're on ETH Denver, definitely rock your Ordinals gear. Let everyone know you're an Ordinal enjoyer. But guys, that's our show. See you next time.
Peace.
Ordinal Revolution. Let's go.